Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the second Board of Finance public hearing on the 2025-26 municipal budget. If you would, we'll call this meeting to order at 10:07 and we'll rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay. Thank you, everybody, for coming out on a Saturday morning. There are some participants online. This is a hybrid meeting. Joining us from remote, if I can get my, hang on one second, the panel, there we go. Ann Sather, Anthony Dorsey, who's on two cameras, are joining us from home. They're members of the Town Council Finance Committee, also joined by Kevin Shively and Mary Isaac this morning. And you have members of the Board of Finance and our alternates here, as well as the First Selectman. And we're here to hear your concerns or comments in regards to the operating budget for next year. So I would ask that you keep your comments to the budget. This is not a meeting about the upcoming bonding meeting for the Senior Community Center. And we will be addressing that on Thursday evening. So with that, I'll just ask somebody to grab the paper from the podium. If you'd like to speak, you're just going to sign up on the podium.
Bill, I'm recording already.
Okay. I also see 5 attendees
Yep.
on the public side virtually, so just let me know when you'd like to allow them in, and I'll do that part.
Okay. Anybody who's attending online that would like to speak, if you could use your raise your hand feature, and you'll be brought in queue to speak. Robert Weiss is here to speak first this morning.
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
Just a couple of
Press the
quick.
button.
Oh, I'm sorry. Thank you very much.
And can you just state your address for, even though it's on the
Sure.
slip?
34 Wendover Road, obviously here in Trumbull. So I did actually have a chance to look through your 490 pages of your budget. So, a lot of work I'm sure goes into that. So just a couple of questions or thoughts that somebody might want to review. When I looked at the golf course budget, as an example, you have something called a clubhouse consultant. I have no idea what that means. You have about $120,000 for clubhouse repairs. Why? Solar project over $100,000. $250,000 for barn storage addition. I'm not sure why we need an addition. Now, what's hard about the golf budget is we just see the expenses. We don't see the commensurate revenues that are coming in. So is revenue going up so we can add all these things? Or is it going down or staying the same? And if so, why are we doing some of this stuff? Especially on something like a barn addition. That must mean you're putting in more of those little golf carts that go around. So if you're doing that, I'm not sure where that goes here. Well, and if that's the case, that must mean you're getting more revenue from green fees.
Just to make this easier for you also, at our budget hearings, which were taped and are available online, we did meet with the Golf Commission, and all of those items were discussed. Just for example, the golf cart barn will have solar capacity, so that they'll be able to charge the golf carts, and the number that they need exceeds their current storage. They've discussed clubhouse repairs and the long-term plan to replace the building.
Okay.
So, and the golf course itself is an enterprise fund, so it is completely separate from the operating budget, and it is a self-sustaining fund.
Well, it's I'm sorry, I didn't mean.
No, that's okay. Normally, we don't have an exchange during a public comment, but I just wanted to let you know that that information is available to you.
Okay, then I would ask if the the solar project and the barn addition with the solar, what's the number of years payback on a project like that? Pretty common question for if you're gonna spend money, when you're gonna realize a return? You know, not just a nice to have. Again, I did a lot of budget stuff. Again, I talked about earlier, before we got together, what I would call title creep, and I would call span of control considerations. Title creep is when, you know, especially in the government, where you can only get a certain amount of money based on what your title is, your grades are. You have directors and assistant directors and 5 people in the department, and a manager. To me, that sounds, I've never seen that in my life, or never would have approved it. And that's happened in a couple of places. I'll talk about span of control. When I look at bigger departments, let's say your police department, and I'm not saying we have too many policemen, but you have a bunch of lieutenants, then a bunch of captains, I guess it's called, or whatever. So more supervisors than you would need for a normal span of control. There are a lot of small departments that might be consolidated, so you can save administrative costs, if nothing else. You have a tax collector, a deputy tax allocator, and 2 assistants. Who knows? HR department has a director, a manager, and then 1 worker. Again, that seems like not a great delegation of how you're managing your departments. And again, this is by saying these things, I'm not criticizing anybody here as far as putting just observations from somebody who used to look at budgets, albeit private companies, not public companies, that have different kind of needs and requests for all sorts of forms to be filled out. And the other part that I mentioned earlier is we're only looking at the expense side of the budget, but nobody presented or showed us the revenue side of your budget. So we don't know. So when we talk about the budget going up or costs going up for the town people, 2-point-something%, how much did revenues go off to offset that versus the expenses you guys have in here? So just a few things that I observed in the few hours that I looked at this, and that's it. Thank you.
Thank you.
I do have one hand raised in the Zoom, I don't know which one.
Yeah, do you want to bring Julie 1072 in queue?
Yes, I will do that right now.
Okay, hi, it's First Selectman Vicky Tesoro. Good morning. Just if you would like to spend a minute or two after we're done, I can show you in the revenue book, in the budget book, where the revenue is,
That'd be great.
okay?
Thank
Yeah.
you. Appreciate
Sure.
that.
We did have a revenue discussion last Tuesday also at about 3:45 p.m. That was the last thing that we did before we finished for the day. And you can hear the entire conversation about
I've been to enough
revenues.
of your meetings, I'm sorry.
Yeah. No, I will tell you the one thing that when I was first involved with the Board of Finance that I was shocked. I thought, oh, we have way too many people doing too many things. And we have a very lean head count that runs an entire town. Even in our public works department, I think we have 32 people that manage all of our roads, all of our paving, all of our parks, and that's not a lot of people. So I definitely think that the titles, while they're there, and I understand your concern with that, it's definitely more eye-opening when you get to see the numbers. Happy to sit down and talk.
Okay, thank you.
Next, we have
Julia was in there and then she disconnected. I don't know what happened.
all right, Julia, if you're out there, come back.
There is another hand up for Trumbull SEPTA. I don't know if there's somebody in-house first, though. I apologize for...
That's okay. I don't have anybody else here on the list this morning that wishes to speak. So let's bring in Trumbull SEPTA.
Okay. And there's a Nick Banks that just raised his hand as a panelist too.
That's okay. Nick Banks is the president of the TEA, and I'll let him come in as well.
Okay, he's already in. I just moved
Okay.
up. Let me try that again.
And then there's a Joanne Gabriel also has a hand raised.
Okay, yeah, I'll move her
Okay.
next then.
Let's start with
Sure.
Nick Banks.
Okay.
Hi, Nick.
Hi, how are you? Good to see you again.
I'm good, thanks. Just your name and address, please.
Yes, it's Nick Banks, 26 Megan Lane. So I just wanted to appear today as TEA president, that's Trumbull Education president, representing over 600 teachers in Trumbull, and just asking the Board of Finance to take a look at the budget again. It's been reduced by $2 million, the Board of Education budget, which could result in some really significant cuts. We want to continue to maintain the excellent schools we have in Trumbull, and our excellent teachers and programs and everything else. And so, and again, anything that the Board of Finance could help with this to get towards at least a sort of a level where we can maintain what we have. It looks like, adding things and adding programs and textbooks and teachers and specialists and those things might not be in the cards this year, but at least to get back to our normal levels would be really important, and to keep all of our teachers. So I hope you consider that, and please reach out if you have any further questions, but thank you for letting me speak today.
Thanks, Nick. Next, we have Joanne McCowie Gabriel. She'll be coming in online. Is there anybody here in chambers that wishes to speak also? While we're bringing the online speaker. Tony, you didn't disappoint me. Hello, Mr. D'Aquila. Welcome.
Good evening, good evening, Madam Chairman. For the record, my name is Tony D'Aquila. I reside at 29 Valley View Road, Trumbull. Also for the record, I am currently serving as an elected official to the Board of Assessment Appeals. I was formerly elected an official to the Planning and Zoning Commission, and I was formerly appointed an appointed official to the Civil Service Board. Today, I wish to discuss a proposed budget for my board, that is the Board of Assessment Appeals. I have two areas, maybe three areas of concern. The first is the certified tax assessor. Trumbull's previous certified tax assessor resigned 1 year ago. We still do not have a certified tax assessor, which I don't understand why. After having two discussions with the Trumbull's Director of Human Resources, I believe that more money is needed to hire a new tax assessor.
Tony, I'm going to stop you because personnel is not a conversation that we can have openly about that. And the tax assessor's position is posted, and we have been actively searching for a tax assessor, as are numerous other towns across the state.
Well, the problem here is we're making decisions on appeals. And if I don't have contact with the tax assessor, that means I don't know all the answers that I have. So
Okay.
I need this information, and I need you people to do something, and to do it now. 1 year is ridiculously too long.
Okay. I am noting that there needs to be a place in the budget to address that, but I cannot comment on that. And we do have consultants in place. So that is a discussion to have with the director of HR.
I did. I had two.
Okay,
all I
not
get
that
was a
can't be
runaround.
that can't be discussed here today.
I already discussed it.
Good.
The second area is the presence of a town attorney during the BAA's appeals hearing. similar to some other boards and commissions, such as Planning and Zoning Commission and Inland Wetlands Commission, who have attorneys present at all their meetings, I'm requesting that the BAA budget be increased to pay for the town attorney to be present at all of our meetings.
Okay,
Is that okay with?
that's okay.
Oh, that's nice. Apologize. And lastly, by the way, we're in the middle of public hearings on all these appeals. If I don't have a legal opinion, I don't know what to do.
All of our towns, boards, and commissions have access to the town attorneys based on our contract with them. So if there's something specific and you do that, I will pass that request along to them.
I need them present at the meetings.
Okay, I don't believe that's a funding budgeting issue.
That's not what?
I don't believe that's a
You have
budgeting
to
issue.
pay for it. You have to pay for that attorney. Just like planning and zoning and,
Tony, we can have that discussion offline. Okay,
Okay,
that's
fine.
not a budget concern.
I guess my last request is I'd like a recording of these meetings. I'd like the gentleman in the back to be paid to hold and record our meetings in terms of audio and visual information. That is an FOI. I had attended a workshop, and I was told about FOI requirements, and all of this was discussed at those workshops. And I don't have a recording of our meetings, which I don't understand why not. And I'm asking you to put in the budget at least this gentleman's salary. That's all I'm asking for.
Duly noted, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. It's always been a pleasure.
I do appreciate it, Tony.
I remember the first time I came to a meeting. This is 40 years ago.
Yeah.
And there was nobody stood up and did anything. And I said to my wife, I said, that will never happen again.
That is true. And I told you I would be disappointed if I didn't see you.
Thank you, Madam
And
Chairman.
I'd probably send out a search party. We'll go to Joanne Gabriel, who looks like she's waiting online.
Hello.
Hi, Joanne.
Hi, everyone. Can you hear me? Hello.
Hi, welcome. Could you state your just
Hi.
address for us and spell your last name for the clerk?
Sure. So my name is Joanne McCowie, last name Mekawi, and I live at 63 Lauredale Drive in Trumbull.
Go ahead.
Okay, thank you. Hi, so my name is Joanne McCowie, and I'm a resident of Trumbull since 2015. I have two daughters who attend Frenchtown Elementary, and I have one daughter who is in the SRP program, the Specialized Resource Program, and we're very thankful for the opportunity to be involved in this program. My daughter was diagnosed early on at IEL and got services through birth to 3, and we had a wonderful experience at TechEC as well. Like many others, one of the main reasons we moved to Trumbull was for the excellent schools and the ESOI program, which is very important, which is the extended school year to give kids, a chance to maintain their skills and to prevent any further regression. I recently just joined the Trumbull SEPTA group to represent our SRP, which has been spearheaded by Jenny, who's also on this call. This is my, so basically wanted to talk about the budget and how they are reducing the ESY hours from instead of 8 to 1, they want it now 8 to 12. Although it is my daughter's last year in elementary before she goes to Frenchtown, I think that decrease or that cut wouldn't be, beneficial to any of the children. These kids, thrive on the routine. They need, that many hours to get their service hours and with speech or OT specialists, as well as working with the summer exploration program, so they get time with typical peers. So I just wanted to mention that. And we also had a petition that Jenny will talk about that we're going around with parents signing that, we don't agree with the decrease of the hours for the ESY program. And that's all. Thank you.
Thank you. Jenny Zambrano.
Hi, thank you. And thank you, Joanne. So firstly, I want to say thank
Can you
to
just
all the-
give us your address,
Oh,
please?
sorry, yes. Jenny Zambrano, 32 Edinburgh Lane in Trumbull. So thank you, firstly, I want to say thank you to all the board members, committees, the state senator, first selectman, and the PPS department, the schools and the staff. I'm very appreciative that we're a fairly new group here in Trumbull, and we've been receiving a lot of support from everyone, and I only think that can benefit our special education department. But I'm here right now to speak as a parent as well. So my statement is that I quickly drafted, the vision of my graduate is to see a young boy who can contribute and be fully integrated to his society and community at large. For the person he will become without masking or being someone he's not. I envision a young man who is not afraid to challenge the status quo, who will keep thinking outside the box because he was born with different capabilities, who will innovate and be resilient. I envision a young man that will hold integrity above all his decision making. For my child to do that, he requires additional support as per assessments provided by medical experts. His diagnosis of autism requires that he receives at least 40 to 45 hours per week, ongoing, right, without any breaks. During the school year, he receives about 35 hours. He also gets private services of an additional 10 hours, so that makes up to 45 hours. With a proposed decrease in ESY hours specifically for the SRP population, that will be about 16 hours per week, not including the private services that he gets, instead of the 20 hours per week. ESY is a federally mandated program as a prevention for children who have the potential of regressing academically during the summer. I created the Trumbull SEPTA group to advocate, empower, and inspire families and their children to provide opportunities for our children to thrive. So I do speak on behalf of 20 parents that have signed the petition, as Joanne mentioned, that are also against the decrease of ESY services, specifically for the SRP children population. Thank you.
Thank you, Jenny. And I applaud your efforts to get SEPTA up and functional here in Trumbull, and it is always welcome to have you speak. Just a reminder to all that the Board of Finance and the Town Council and the First Selectman can only allocate a dollar amount to the Board of Education, and how they utilize that dollar amount is based on their discretion. We have no line item control over the Board of Education department. You will need to continue to advocate through the process once their allocation gets to them. As of now, and the world is a crazy place, those services are protected services, and if they're deemed necessary, they have to justify why they're being reduced. It would not necessarily be a budgetary constraint, so I would refer you back to PPS to discuss that with them as well. But we have noted, and we are watching that as well. Okay.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you for participating. There's a DJ waiting online. I don't see a hand raised. If they'd like to speak, if they would use the raise their hand feature, and if there's anybody else in chambers who would like to speak. We'll give it a moment. I see a hand.
Online's fine.
Yep, we're good right now.
Okay.
Good morning,
I'll
Mr.
speak.
Disney.
Hi, everyone. Jonathan Disney, 43 Lafayette Drive, lifelong Trumbull resident, proud father of 2. I just want to thank my SEPTA chapter for speaking. They're brand new, starting last year. It's hard getting any PTA off the ground, let alone a SEPTA PTA. I think we're like 6 or 7 in the state. So it's a real accomplishment to have for the town. I want to thank everyone for coming here this morning. I mean, this group is just very receptive to the feedback of the town and the needs of the people. The budget is never an easy process. We're balancing the needs of our entire community every year. It'd be wonderful to support everything that we have. And as Lainey mentioned, obviously the Board of Ed gets to have great influence over where they spend their money. It'd almost be nice to see some of our Board of Ed here today to understand what people have firsthand. This is great that you have a forum where you listen. I know we're supposed to only speak. You provide feedback. That's just a great way of being receptive to the process. I am the president of the town PTA. I don't speak on behalf of the rest of the town or my units today. I speak on behalf of myself. I think overall the budget process is extremely fair. If you look around at other towns, we see requests for double-digit increases in the schools. You know, that's unrealistic in most areas. We see other ones with really challenging situations in other communities. I think it's great about what we're talking about in terms of where the funding needs to go, because we're really talking about in many areas value added, and that's really what we're discussing, just to continue to make our schools better, providing services above and beyond what we see in other communities. On the other hand, it always feels like as a parent a little bit of gamesmanship. I think we're all accepting that's part of the process. You always ask for more, someone else will challenge for less, and we know how it meets in the middle. It's a little bit of how negotiations work in all businesses. But I do think for Selectman Tesoro put out a very fair budget, using some of the reserves in the town to balance out the needs of the taxpayers and the needs of the parents. And I'm also aware of there's just some, technicalities in our town charter. We're going above and beyond a certain percent. Creates a lot of potential angst in the community. So I think that 3.25% is a wonderful starting point and very fair. What I would ask today, and hopefully the Board of Education and Dr. Semel have reached out to you, but there are opportunities to find ways to make better use of this year's budget in next year's budget. Some of the increases that they're asking for are one-time fees that don't necessarily need to accelerate the budget for years, beyond the next one. I know their reading program has a large fixed cost for next year. Hopefully there's a way, if they ask for the need, that there's something you could fund as a one-time thing, so they could use the money in the budget increase to fund things, not just for next year, but above and beyond, and we can separate some of those one-time fees. So I know you do have the ability to help them, to support for more. I ask that you consider that as you move into the next phases, and hopefully there's honest and open communication to make sure all of those questions are answered. But thank you for having this forum today, and thank you for all your work.
Thank you, Mr. D. And just so you know, there are members of the Board of Education online watching. Lisa Newland, for one, is definitely on. I can see her. Anybody else who might like to speak? Anybody else online looking to make comment this morning? If not, I want to thank everyone for taking the time to send emails. I am getting through the emails and making sure that I respond to everyone who has sent them. I want to acknowledge the Trumbull Rugby group. I believe every member of your rugby group has sent an email, and they're very articulate and well-spoken, and we've noted all of them. And anyone else who has sent an email that they are being responded to by our board, I want to make sure that we acknowledge that there are many emails that have come in this year. So I want to thank everybody for taking the time to participate in the process. Our deliberations continue on Tuesday night. We will be here in chambers starting at 6 p.m. to run line by line through our voting for the budget. And we also have a special meeting on Thursday evening to discuss bond authorization for a potential referendum on a senior community center. So with that, at 10:35, I will close the public hearing, and thank you all for attending. I'll take a motion to adjourn. Thank you, Paul. Thank you, Marty. I know everyone wants to go. I'm taking that by unanimous consent.